We are live, coming here with a brand new Stir the Pod podcast show. I'm your host, Trevor, and tonight we are joined by Andy. Andy, how you doing tonight?
What up? What up?
And we're also joined by Alex. Alex, man, how you doing tonight?
Yo, yo, yo.
And we are here with the episode 5 recap show. This episode, I don't want to say it, but are we to the point now where we're on that roller coaster of the challenge and we're on the decline? Because tonight's episode was, I thought, shit. I hated tonight's episode. I thought we had the potential to be great, to be good, and it fell flat. I don't know how you guys felt. I'm hoping it was just a 1 week kind of, in that fantasy football world where you have the high, 140s, 150s of the world, and then out of the blue you drop like 64 1 week. I feel like that was kind of this episode. So very, very Boston Monstars-esque, but we'll get into it a little more. But initial thoughts, Andy, what'd you think?
I'm with you. I did not like this episode at all. Like there was really nothing too entertaining. The challenge wasn't good. The elimination was all right, but there was no clurb. There was no there was some drama, but it was more like political drama, which isn't as exciting. So I think this was definitely my least favorite of the season so far.
Yeah,
for sure.
Alex.
Yeah,
For
I,
sure.
I agree completely. I think it was a bad episode. To me, I think the thing that made it this bad was the 90 minutes. Like, I think this is a perfect example of how 90-minute episodes can, ruin an episode. And Trev, you've been on this since the beginning, but this is one where you had, I don't know, 50% of the episode revolved around 4 people, Jay and Michelle and Laurel and Jack. And it's like, we get it. We get the point you're trying to make. Like, you don't need to hammer it home that much. There was just a lot of wasted time. There's no way they couldn't have done this episode in 60 minutes. There just wasn't a lot going on, and it dragged, and it just wasn't that entertaining. We had one. The only positive thing to me is the very last storyline, the fact that Laurel's coming back to the house. But that's like more looking forward. This episode, I couldn't stand it. Very long, very boring. But we're powering through.
Didn't last season they do one episode that was 60 minutes and then everything else was 90 minutes?
I think they did. I think ever since they started doing 90, they'll have that random 60-minute episode every month or so.
Yeah, I don't know why. I just hated it tonight. And tonight, like you just said, should have been a 60-minute EP, like you said.
I think this could have been a 30. Call me crazy.
God.
Get in, get out.
What would have if it was a 30-minute episode, what was the title going to be, Andy? Down goes Kim and Colleen.
Yes. Goodbye, Germans.
Oh, God. Very World Cup-esque. So let's just dive right in. And as you can tell, Andy's already kind of bouncing around. He just moved to Boston, pretty whipped right now. So if there's connection issues, don't be surprised. We'll just kind of power through.
Road game.
So let's dive in. And first thing we always got to address, the streak. And I'm not going to lie, me and Alex were a little late turning this episode on. I missed to see if the streak actually happened or not. Hand up, that's on me. So Alex, I don't know if you were, this is your baby. Did the streak happen?
It happened. I did a little rewind to check. It was actually kind of sad because Kim and Colleen were the streak tonight, and then they ended up going home at the end. But yeah, the streak continues. I think we're 2 or 3 episodes now.
There we go. Back on track. Adam Mito's in the chat. Yeah, it looks like he's in the Redemption House. Very, I don't know. The apartment looks kind of small, very studio, probably paying like $2,000 in Boston or something. I don't know.
Watch it.
Couldn't be me. Andy, anything about the streak you wanna chime on?
I hope they keep it going. It's stupid that they ruined it in the first place, but it's just a classic. I think all of us and all the AWLs out there, it turns just the opening scene that otherwise is very anticlimactic. It turns it into we're starting off the episode hot. Like
Yeah.
when that first scene is like, yep, add to the streak, it just sets the tone.
It's almost like when in football, when when they raise that trophy up, they're like, oh, and then it goes up or whatever. It's kind of like it's building, and who knows if it's actually gonna happen. And if it doesn't, like if the confetti's wrong or anything, then you're just like, oh, it's just like a letdown. It's just like that awkward moment. So I like it. I like the touch, and Alex has been on that train for the past 2 seasons now. I think you can credit Alex at this point for it becoming his idea. So after the streak, we go into a pool party, and I think on record, Laurel said this was like the best pool party she's ever been at, and I think the pool party scene was like 60 seconds. Like I was a little confused by that. Like it wasn't like an out of control scene or anything, right?
Yeah, I think the pool party and their little emo party that they had like a couple scenes after that, I could have used more time of that. Like I could have used a lot less of all of the stuff that happened in the middle and like extend the pool party. If you're gonna have one a season these days, like extend it. Show us, more of people hooking up in the pool. Show us more of, a 40-year-old Bananas hitting on Mariah. Like show us more of that, people getting drunk. That's what we want to see. Especially when you have a 90-minute runway to do it. Like shave down all that shit in the middle and show us more of the party.
Well, the goth party, I felt like we saw more of them getting ready than the actual party itself.
That's a good point.
Like we saw so much makeup and stuff. I'm not gonna lie. They had a great Panic at the Disco song going on. Devin looked fantastic, just kind of sitting in his corner or whatever, just like looking depressed and stuff. Like that was a good shot. Hand up, great shot. But like the party was just terrible. It was so bad. Like it was just outside. They sung this little song, and we might have to pull up the lyrics later if we could find. Maybe next episode we'll bring out.
There's some na 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 na.
Yeah, it seemed like very 90s punk rock. It was on cue or whatever. But I expected a little better from Jay. What was the last song he Rolex on my dick? Correct. That was the
yes,
song
with Ed from the Circle.
Yeah, Ed from the Circle.
And how does Bananas have a guitar? Don't they take away everything from them like when they come into the house?
God, it's just like I'm sure the challenge house probably has its own like store or whatever you can trade little things, and you can trade in, hey, I can sell a few autographs for a guitar, and MTV just pumps it out or anything like that. Hey, were you gonna say something?
No, I mean, the whole thing that was going through my head during all this is like, I feel like Yak was just making a conscious effort to like try to show that he is like this singer songwriter, and then I just immediately started thinking about Alien and Rolex on my dick, and now this, and it's like these people are so just like starving for any sort of fame that it's hilarious to see something like that.
God, so classic. Then we get Raya and Bananas kind of chat, I guess. I mean, it's not like Bananas to round up some rookies and start talking to them or anything. I know Alex loves that. So anything you want to add on about that?
I mean, I think there's 100% chance that it's going to surface again at some point. The fact that they showed us here this episode. Bananas has been on, a nice little post Hannah Teeter, I think the snowboarder was. There was like 10 seasons where he was fully wifed up, very Javi-esque. And then ever since that split, he's gone through like Natalie. He dated Morgan for a couple years, cheated on her with one of her like best friends, I think. Angela was another one. Like there's been a
dirty game.
Kaylee, like Bananas has just been all over the place. And so to see, just a rookie, just like trust everything that Bananas saying is so classic. While they're in the pool, Bananas had the sunglasses on, so where his eyes were looking. Like it was just classic.
When I'm almost thinking like, what do you think the age gap between those two are? Is it 20 years? Is it longer?
I think it's just under 20.
Long? Is it longer than Justin Long and Blake? Like, is it that bad?
I mean, the Bananas and Morgan was, I think he's 13 years older than her.
Wow.
And they dated for like 2-3 years. I would bet Bananas and Mariah is probably like 14, 15.
That's bananas, honestly.
Good for him. Good for her.
Yeah, very importantly asked. So moving on, we got a little foreshadowing of Jay and Yak. And I think that was kind of the overarching, and we'll get into it, but theme of tonight's episode, and we've hinted on it time and time again, was just the too much foreshadowing going on. So we kind of see that, we're all buddy, we're best friends, blah, blah, blah. Nothing can break us apart kind of thing. I see him as one of my best friends, outside of the really cool dude, stuff like that. And, it is what it is. I guess it's a game at the end of the day, but
well, and that's what was funny too, is I think in back-to-back Jay confessionals, one of them ended by him saying Yak is his best friend, and he wants to like hang out with him, like beyond the show. And then the very next Jay confessional was him saying, yeah, Yak's kind of my buddy here, but I got to do what's right for the game. Like it was almost back-to-back how quickly he just flip-flopped.
Oh, it was terrible. Alex, anything on that?
I mean, this was the first 30 minutes, but everything before the challenge told us everything we needed to know. Like there was the foreshadowing. Nisa Veronica, I think, was even foreshadowed. Like it's just stupid, and we'll get into it later. But Jay and Jack pretty much told us what was going to happen.
God. All right, so then let's just dive right into the challenge itself. And this challenge is just a simple, where have we seen this before? A nice swimming and diving, picking up puzzle pieces, building shit together. Have we ever seen that before? I don't think we have. I think the thing that was the best about this challenge was just TJ talking about Burger King for a hot sec. I think that was the best thing about this challenge on this daily. It's good to see Burger King still pumping some money into the challenge. I think Alex tweeted that the other night. Like I missed TJ saying, what was it? The
sidekicks.
The sidekicks. Yeah. Hey, Teach texted me from your T-Mobile sidekick or whatever. Like those little things. Like I loved. I don't know why they got rid of it. Yes, it's a little corny and cheesy, but it is smirk.
Well, and they used to get like Xbox 360s and like 12-inch Samsung plasma screen TVs, very Michael Scott-esque. I mean, those were the good old days.
God, and still pump all that out in 30-minute episodes.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. I got a question I want to run by you, Alex. Go ahead.
No, I got a question too.
God.
Okay.
Well, so I got one too.
God, watch it. All right, so they announced that there was a $5,000 reward sponsored by BK for this. That sparked a discussion when I was watching the show of would you rather have $5,000 or similar to how they used to do it, 1 year of free BK?
So wait, so did Jay and Michelle win $5,000?
Yes.
BK? No, $5,000 from BK, just like $5,000 in a bag. This is yours. But what I thought about is like the old school ones where it'd be like free BK for a year. So which one of those two would you have?
Honestly, I think practically you have to pick the $5,000, but the much more smirky thing is to just say that every day of the year you can go to BK and get fast food.
So here's my answer, Andy. Obviously, I don't spend $5,000 a year on BK. I think it would be $5,000 or lifetime at BK. Then it's a little dicey.
Lifetime, I think that's a no-brainer.
God, I don't think I could eat a Whopper a day for my life.
Yeah, but if you have it for the next, anywhere between 10 and 60 years. But here's one thing that would be a good. Well, that's why I said 10.
That's pushing. I mean, Veronica's like 50.
I don't know how much longer I can do this, T. Here's what I think would be interesting is like somebody who is a guy in a sense of like he's got season tickets to a game, so like he can hook it up, or like he works for a collegiate athletic department, so he can get you free tickets. Like if you are somebody's guy for Burger King, that would be amazing. Like if you're like, hey, if someone's like, hey, where do you want to go to eat tonight? Oh, let's grab some BK. I can hook this up. Like, could you imagine?
Yeah, but think about this though. If you piss them off or anything, I'm sure there's a way to like cancel those tickets or cancel the BK or whatever. So like,
I mean, if you're the Burger King guy, then I think you are anointed the Burger King.
you are the king
amongst all of your friends. So let me ask you guys this question in regards to Burger King, and this is jumping ahead a little bit, but we saw after the challenge, they come back and it's a feast for the whole house. They got the Whoppers, fries, they're all going nuts. Do you guys like that better? Or I'm just thinking about all the times they've done Burger King in the past. I think my favorite version of it is when like you pick two other teams to join you on this private feast or whatever, and then nobody else gets any of the BK, and it's all of them just stuffing their faces in front of like the rest of the house. I like that much more as opposed to the whole house getting it. Anissa gets like a quarter for herself. Like, what do you guys think about that?
No, I'm all in exactly for what you said, Alex. I think you hit the nail on the head, and I think there's a reason you're good at saying this stuff. I think we call you. What's your Twitter name? TK Burge. The King Burge. I mean, like, there's no surprise there. You're a big BK guy, so I support that completely.
All right, so what happened in the challenge? Jay and Michelle win the
there
first
challenge.
Jay and Michelle win, and then the second heat was Tori and Devin. Did anything really stick out in terms of like, obviously we saw the good teams. Kim did pretty good. Veronica did terrible. She was going backward. I think Nerys did terrible. It was just a classic. I think Nani had a tough time rowing the thing.
Yep.
Like, it was just one of those that some teams were bound to do good, some teams were bound to do bad, and you had to split it up into two heats. Like Trev said, just very run of the mill. Have we ever seen this before? Yeah, we see this like every third episode.
Yeah.
This challenge made me so mad. It was so long, you couldn't follow it. Like, it was just like, why am I watching this? Like,
it was tough to follow.
Like, it was so, and then when they finally got done with the first heat, and it's like, we got to sit through this shit again? Like, are you kidding me? But for that whole time the daily was going on, I was just like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, I believe the actual challenge itself took like 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and that's way too long. We had 3 commercial breaks for this entire challenge. Like, come on, that can't happen. Like, let's go. Let's keep it going. And literally, we had 2 commercial breaks with the first group. Like, we get it. Michelle and Jay were the top team, and they were going head to head basically against Laurel and Yak. Like, we get it. Like, we don't need to see it pump by pump by pump. So, again, like we said, the issue is the 90 minutes. And I think that was the reason we didn't have enough content. I don't know why we didn't go to the club tonight and stuff like that. And it just dragged on. So I don't know if anybody else wants to chime in on the end or anything. But, I mean, I feel like that was it, really. It wasn't really that close or anything.
Yeah. I would just say, like, just to kind of set the tone for this whole EP, and we've talked about this on here multiple times, but like as you start getting close to the elimination, sometimes it's the litmus test of, are you checking your phone for what time it is? This was on the daily, and this wasn't even I'm checking my phone. This was you're watching the daily and like, oh my God, I have to sit through this for another hour. Like, it wasn't even a litmus test. It was, we're going to shove this down your throats. You're going to have to put up with this.
Andy, remember the beginning of this episode? I missed the did the winners walk in first? Why? Because I was on my phone already in the first minute of the episode. Like that already set the tone for me going in. And God knows my screen time was probably in the 90 minutes was probably around 45. Like I felt like it was pretty high. Hell, I grabbed my laptop and started typing. So that's when you know it's really bad. So anything else to tie in the challenge? So like we said, Michelle and Jay won. They picked up the win. They basically beat in group 2 was we all kind of knew it was Michelle and Jay. They were by far the fastest. But yeah, nothing too crazy.
I don't think so. This was about this point in the episode was the best it was going to get for Jay and Michelle.
Yeah.
It was just a shit show after.
So how about this? We move on to skip Burger King because we've already talked about BK. And we go straight into what would be next? The 4 teams. Interrogation. So, or deliberation, I guess. So in deliberation, the 4 teams that they pick are Jordan and Nisa, Darrell and Veronica, Kim and Colleen, and Laurel and Yak. Which you look at these 4 teams, it just does not make any sense. You've Lana's and Nani, who threw you in 2 episodes ago, and they just just skate by. Like it makes no sense. Plus, think about this: if you even get rid of, I honestly don't know why the rookie team was even in there. That makes no sense. When you could have just had Bananas, Laurel, Darrell, and Jordan as your 4. Like that is stacked. Like one good team is going home in there. So
yeah. And then you also send a message to everyone else saying, look, we're with you guys. Like that's how you gain numbers is draw a line in the sand, make it very clear for everyone, and pick the horse you want to bet on. They didn't do anything here. It was all over the place. And I think the very first interrogation, I don't remember who it would have been. I think it was Veronica and Darrell. And Veronica was like pointing at the board and was like, what are you guys trying to do? Like there was just no rhyme or reason to anything.
Well, it almost seemed like they didn't talk to anybody beforehand, which makes no sense.
Yeah.
Like, why would you not talk? Be like, hey, Bananas, like, I want to be part of your alliance or whatever. What do you think I should do if that's the case? Hey, Darrell, Veronica, where are you standing? Hey, Laurel, Yak, where do you guys stand? And then you can kind of draw that line in the sand. I think it's harder for them. The move to make, realistically, I felt like throw the vets in. The rookies have your back, and I think the vets don't have your back because even if you were, well, they did. They sided with Johnny and Nani. At the end of the day, they're last on their totem pole, though. They might save them here for the next episode or 2, but when you're down to the final 7 teams, 6 teams, they're going in every time.
Yeah, it made no sense. And, I think they said it at one point after they had decided their 4 teams, they said like, we didn't, them talking to each other, they were like, we didn't pick Bananas and Nani, so they owe us. And like, maybe they do, but like, you didn't make an agreement with them, at least not shown to us. Like you just like made a stupid decision not to send them in. So like, I don't think it's necessarily that they owe you something. They're just kind of like confused and surprised that they weren't picked. And it just makes, it's bad when the team that's making the decision makes it and then like instantly knows like, oh my God, what are we doing? We have no idea what's going on here. Like, that's bad.
Yeah, it just, to me, like, and it showed the vet move by Bananas. As soon as that ended, what did he do? He went to go talk to him and was like, hey, I'm surprised. I can't believe you guys didn't throw me in. And he kind of, like he said, I think his term was like, I buttered them up or whatever.
He buttered their balls.
Buttered their balls, yeah. So, I mean, that's just a vet move right there by him. Just being like, hey, thanks, blah, blah, blah. We owe you one. And I guaranteed he'll probably win the next daily and he'll throw them in. It's not like Bananas has ever done that before or like done anything crazy to throw people in or, anything.
God, you know who I was surprised never got mentioned? There were two teams that I was surprised that never got discussed during who these four would be, and that was Nelly and Nerys. Even though I feel like Nelly and Jay are kind of friends, I feel like they mentioned that earlier this season.
Boys. Yeah.
They're boys.
After tonight's episode.
Exactly. And one team that again, I was just thinking, like, how is this not a no-brainer? Amber and Chauncey.
Yeah.
How is that not a no-brainer for Jay and Michelle in this situation?
Or Fezzi. Didn't Fezzi throw him in?
Or Fezzi.
Didn't he throw him in twice?
Or Casey and Kenny. Like, there were so many teams. Like, it seemed like they boiled it down to like 6 choices for them, when in reality it was like, I don't know, 9 or 10. Like, I don't know what they were doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Jay said it even like I think first segment of the show, he said kind of like something like I'm alone. Like I come into the show and I never really have anybody on my side. And so for him to say that, but then also say when they're in deliberation, like, I had to choose you guys because there's just not that many options left. And then they show the huge board of names. There's like 10 teams to pick from. And he's like you already said you're not really working too closely with anybody. So yes, you can pick anybody on that board. And they picked like a quartet of teams that didn't really make sense.
Yeah, like to me, what I probably would have done was talk to Jarrell and Veronica and be like, look, we're on an island. You guys are on an island. Let's form an alliance or something. Like we need at least another team that has our back. You guys don't really have anybody. We don't really have anybody. And let's just build something. And instead you throw them in, you throw the rookies in, which makes no sense. And then you're like, Jordan and Nisa, okay, fair, whatever. And then you throw in supposedly another of alliance because Michelle is so paranoid about Laurel for no reason.
For no reason.
And that is why I love Laurel, because she is just her intimidation. She gets under people's skin for no fucking reason. She's always playing. I mean, the amount of real estate that is in Michelle's head of Laurel is incredible. It is incredible. She has set up shop in her head and is just, it's like it almost reminds me of like the SpongeBob episode where he's like, what's the name? What's the name? And it's all the SpongeBob running around in the head. You don't remember that episode?
Was that a dream?
Jesus. God. You guys even have a childhood? Rough.
God. Here's what I was thinking about for Laurel. Because one, like, and during interrogation, Laurel was just giving Michelle the daggers. And even when they said, like, what, are you guys just not going to talk? She was like, you didn't ask us a question.
That was awesome.
Laurel is just a junkyard dog. And Jay and Michelle, the second they stepped into that interrogation room, were scared shitless. And one thing a junkyard dog can do immediately is smell fear. And that's exactly what happened. Like, and it wasn't like the Wes and Leroy, like, why do I feel like you guys are in the power seat and we're not? It wasn't like that. It was just like, I don't really care what you do. I'm not aligning with you. I'm not going to kiss the ring because you have power. Like, you guys are throwing us into these 4. Like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think once they decided the 4 teams, between that point and the elimination starting, this I think was what they focused on the most, which was kind of like it led us to believe that Laurel and Jack were going to be the team that they picked. And then it just showed like all of the basically Michelle versus Laurel dynamic, because they had already kind of covered like Jay and Jack were, friends somehow, even though they just met, but now he's sad that he sent him in. But yeah, like we're saying, the real interesting part about this was Michelle and Laurel. And I think, they showed him in the bunk bed scene too, those 2 girls talking. And it seemed like Michelle was just like waiting for Laurel to beg and say like, hey, please don't send us in. And Laurel is never going to do that. And Laurel was just as stone cold as she could be about it. And it was just like, you picked me. I don't know why you picked me. We didn't talk about it before. You didn't give me a heads up. You didn't say that you were going against me. You just put my name up there. And now I'm in danger. That's where we're at right now. And so for you to try to be making deals now doesn't really make sense. that would only help you and not me. And it was just, a classic, like, new girl to the challenge just getting steamrolled by a challenge legend in Laurel.
Do we think this elimination will happen? Laurel versus Michelle? Because I would like to see it happen.
I would like to see it too. I don't know. I feel like there's just a lot of randomness to who gets thrown in,
Very true.
but I would love it.
That's why, I am glad that at the end of the day, Laurel and Jack are still on the show, because we can see, obviously there was a huge, divide that was put in the house tonight between those two teams, and we can at least see it continue. Like, if they would have gone home, that storyline is pretty much dead. But we have that still going on, so I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah. So moving on, let's go straight into the elimination now. And basically, like we've already kind of talked about, Laurel and Yak get voted in. And then we kind of have the three teams just kind of chilling. Who's going to pull the sword? 0 for 1, 0 for 2. And then Rel and Veronica picking up the safe sword. So then before they cut to commercial, Veronica has this big speech plan. I don't know why the hell she didn't throw in Jordan and Anissa, because by throwing in the rookies, yes, the rookies stink. Like, I get it. But why would you not want to keep them at that point?
That's a good point, to always keep them as the default rookie team, always low man on the totem pole.
Plus, now you have either Laurel or Jordan going home for sure.
Yeah.
True.
I mean, Veronica talked through it. Like, she explained why they would have picked Anissa and Jordan, because they could kind of band with Kim and Colleen, the other team that's low on the totem pole. And then she just backed away from it. She explained the logic why we would do that, and she backed away from it. And I'm guessing it's just because it's the safe choice is to just stick with the veterans, stick with Anissa, for God's sakes. But I feel like in a lot of ways that's kind of symbolic of Darrell's downfall in the new era of the challenge, is that he doesn't really try to rock the boat. He doesn't really make moves. And even if it's Veronica's decision, well, he's letting her make it for the team. And so I feel like Darrell has done this in the past, where he refuses to play a political game so much that he makes the wrong moves. Like I think he did tonight, where he could have actually positioned himself in a better spot, but instead he just went with the safe choice.
Yeah. Go ahead, Danny.
Well, I was just going to say, if they would have, if that's what they wanted to do, if Veronica wanted to save Anissa, she kind of made her feel like shit for it. She was like, Anissa never approached me, and Anissa never did that. And then just at the very end was like, but this is how I like to play the game. Why would you not build Anissa and Jordan, build your relationship up, as opposed to trying to shoot it down? If you say, I was torn on this, but we've got a great relationship with this team, I fully trust them, I know that if they were in the similar situation, they would save us. Why would you not just milk that so much, so that way when you do save Anissa and Jordan, they feel indebted to you? Because right now, they definitely do not. Right now, it was just oh, you defaulted back to us. Why would you not say, I know they'll return the favor, or you know what I mean? Build them up, and then say, if they were in our shoes, and I know they'll pay us back at some point in time. It was so dumb how even they just explained that.
Yeah, and I think that was just kind of another theme of tonight, is just the dumb decision making. Just, it was so bad tonight. And like I talked about, like Andy talked about, that's why I just was not a fan of tonight's episode. Jesse Adams, always great to have you in the chat. You bring in the IU hatred in us as well. So let's talk about the elimination itself. A puzzle. We haven't seen this before. So first time this season we've seen a puzzle. But basically, the challenge is where one person climbs up, and they're basically kind of yelling at the other person of what the one side of the puzzle looks like. Nothing too crazy. It's just it's almost like what's the word like it's not like a Rubik's cube, but it has like four sides. So you have to get it. Has to get exactly like where it's at or whatever. I don't know how to explain that. It's like a piece that has four different sides, and you have to get the exact side, and you're kind of stacking it up. I think it was a 4x4 kind of puzzle. What do we think?
I didn't mind this. One thing that like I didn't understand and I still don't understand, and I will never judge the chat. I want to just be on the record for that. But one thing I'll never understand is this whole challenge was about communication. Why did Kim and Colleen not talk in German? Like, if you're going into elimination with somebody whose first language is also your first language, why the hell would you not be speaking in that language?
So are you saying more of like a disguise so they don't know, like the opposing teams, or
No,
just
no, no.
because they're more fluent in it and they know?
Yes, it's your first language. They both speak that language since birth. You're in an elimination in the challenge. Why would you not speak that language?
I mean,
Like, did you not hear Colleen was like, yeah, infinity symbol. Like, it was like a chain. Like, but again, you can't blame her for saying that because she's speaking a second language, maybe a third or fourth. Like, I don't understand why they weren't speaking in German. That was the first thing that popped out to me.
That's fair. I didn't even think about that idea, but I love that, Andy. If like you're watching any like a soccer game or whatever, Marco Rohr in German. It's not like he's speaking English to him by any means. Like you speak, your first language. And the
That's what
opposing
I'm
team,
saying.
if they're playing in like Chelsea, like if Dortmund's playing Chelsea in Champions League, like it's almost
down.
like you speak German because they speak English most of the teams.
Yes.
Makes complete sense. Alex, anything about this elimination?
Not a whole lot. I thought it was okay. Nothing special. Kim and Colleen, they had, I think, just one check at the puzzle, and it was incorrect. And then Laurel and Jack kind of came back there at the end. But just like, we joked about the challenge and a lot of their staples that they do. I feel like, for the elimination rounds these days, it's like a wire thing that's hanging. There's a puzzle involved. And so it's just absurd. But I thought this elimination was all right.
So, like we talked about, Yak and Laurel pick up the dub. And now we all know Michelle and Jay just completely screwed at this point. GG's. We're about to get a little headbanger between between the two. Kim and Colleen, with them leaving, do we ever want to see these clowns again?
Yes, to
I
both.
wouldn't mind it.
I really liked them both. I thought they were both entertaining. They were good competitors. Like, in my opinion, they earned their stripes to come back again, and I would very much like to see them back again.
Really?
I would want to see them back. They were good. They were attractive. They were funny. They seemed to have like a good attitude, a good spirit. So I would want to see them again. This was also, I didn't fact check this, but I think this was Laurel's first win since she lost her last two eliminations, her first two losses ever. I think her last win was against Cara.
Wow.
Invasion.
So her last two losses were Camilla in Invasions and the Ninja drama.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think she started 8-0, then lost 2 in a row.
Damn. Jesse Adams writes, if Kim comes back, then Lolo should come back too. I think Andy's on Team Lolo, right? Speaking of Lolo, I did see her. So I was in Maryland this past weekend, and when you're just flipping through nothing better than being in at a hotel and you got the TV guide, like the first thing or whatever, and you're just clicking through all the channels or whatever. First channel I hit, channel 3, was like the CW or something, and it was a magician show.
OC.
And it was Chris Angel's magician show or whatever. I kept it on for 60 seconds, right? And they train celebrities that go against each other. Guess who was on it?
Lolo
Jones was on it.
You're lying, Sarah.
I swear to God. Lolo Jones was on the fucking magician show. So she leaves the challenge.
Was it good?
I didn't want God.
Did she? Let me guess.
Halfway through
I stopped watching.
Halfway through the trick, she quit.
Well, there was this guy. So her trick that I saw was splitting a guy into half, and it was this really tall guy with dark hair, and they split him in half, and his face just kind of like froze up. I don't know if he was still alive or anything. It was kind of wild.
That explains why he's been dead the past 2 seasons.
God, I know. It's sketchy. God, I forget who it was against. It was actually oh my God. Oh, it was Frankie Muniz. It was Malcolm in the Middle going against her. It was pretty funny. But like I said, I watched it for 60 seconds and that was it. So anything else from tonight's episode before we get into some segments tonight?
I don't think so.
No.
Bad episode.
Yeah, worst episode of the season. Trev, to your point, I think you did pose this question, but I don't think we really talked about it. I really hope this is just a speed bump. I don't hope this is where the trajectory is going. I think we got good contestants now. I just hope this is not the trend. But I can't say confidently that it's not. Because I feel like we've been riding high.
If this is not a speed bump, this is going to be a long 14 weeks, boys. I don't know how many I got left in me.
Yeah, we sleep in April.
Episode 6 is important because if it's worse than tonight, then we know it's just going to be a dark, dark winter. And if it's better than tonight, then hopefully that means tonight's episode was just a little blip on the radar.
It might be just the daylight savings, that might just have been the off. I'm looking at this chat tonight too, and I mean we have some, but it's been slow tonight. I mean Jesse Adams came in late, fired it up. Adam Meadows was in the chat earlier, but then he had to go talk to his nothing. God, no, we'll cut that.
All right, so segments.
Just dive into some segments.
All right, so our first segment tonight, this day in challenge history. No trivia questions, just 2 quick things I wanted to point out. November 9th, the premiere of the 2nd season of the challenge, all time.
Oh, wow.
And the title of the season was actually just Real World Road Rules Challenge. And it was in 1999.
Wow.
23 years ago, season 2 came out. So that was one thing. No trivia question there because they were all weird episodes back then. I wouldn't even know how to create one. And the second one, we're going back to the duel. We've been talking about these episode titles, and this one I think might have been, when I looked it up, it made me smirk more than even some of the other ones, even though they all followed the same pattern. on the duel, the episode title today was Goodbye Casey. That was it. Goodbye Casey.
Wait. There's no way Casey went
Goodbye Toby vibes.
God.
Part 2.
That is incredible.
God, the challenge is nuts.
That's a worse title. That's a worse title than Real World Road Rules the Challenge. They've been getting worse since season 2.
Goodbye, Casey. God, I'm still missing Casey from episode 2. I can't believe she went home and we didn't see anything of her.
Did she come
on? All right. Any other segments?
Well, I think we get into MVP, LVP.
All right, Jesse Adams, Let's hear it. MVP, LVP, give us the order. We'll wait for you. Hopefully he responds. God. But yeah, like we said, tonight's episode was terrible. I'm upset that
It was bad.
it was one of those weeks where I needed a good episode and I didn't have it, and now my week's even going even further down the drain.
It's one of those episodes where STP has to put the whole night on its back.
Well, and that's the problem is because you're spot on, but it was so bad that like I don't think any of us were chomping at the bit to try to save it. Because a lot of times when they have a bad episode, we get on here and we got to save the show, put it on our shoulders, let's go. But I don't think any of us were excited to come in and save it. And then you look at how the chat's been this week. This is the lowest chat week we've had all season. Like the chat had no hope. I mean,
I know. And now I'm looking at Jesse Adams. The one thing we ask for from the chat every week is picking the order. And he says, fuck you guys. You pick the order. I mean, we're just doing everything tonight. God, I'm out. Who is this Alex Burge guy saying Trev, Alex, Andy?
All right. So that was the first one in the chat.
All right. That's fine. My MVP tonight, we'll make this quick. Recurring guest. I think I've already given this thing of MVP before. I mean, it's got to go to the king itself, Burger King, obviously. I mean, come on, you thought I was going to let that slide? I mean, BK, the GOAT. I know Alex is the biggest BK fan here, so I apologize for me taking that from Alex. TK Burge, I know Alex that is your name, so the King Burge himself. But yeah, BK, ultimate legend. It brought back Tony Raines vibes of him throwing on the crown. And speaking of Tony Raines, can we get Tony Raines back on the challenge? Just unbelievable.
That's a good idea, Trev. I know Alex always talks about that.
So basically, that was just awesome. The amount of food, that's another thing. The amount of food that they got was ridiculous. I mean, the question has to be asked is like, at the end of the day, when you see that much food, like, who's paying for this shit? Like, it's not like they could pay for all that stuff. I mean, Anissa had her own buffet. Like, it was wild. So, like I said, BK, the ultimate GOAT. What else is new? MVP, BK.
I will say, even though that spread was glorious, I'm confident there were no leftovers.
God.
I think.
Wait. Sorry, Alex. Sorry to interrupt, but I have to ask Andy, as the real BK guy. He is the true. We all joke around, and I make fun of it. But what is the go-to order at BK from the BK master himself?
The
if
best
you get
thing,
anything. What is the best deal in the game?
It's honestly pretty simple. It's the Bacon King meal. That's it. You don't have to get fancy. You don't have to get like any frills. The Bacon King is not only, in my opinion, the most slept on item at Burger King, but probably the most slept on item in all of fast food.
Wow.
It is no joke. It's the best burger you can get. And then you get their fries, and their fries are solid too. Also incredibly slept on too. So that's it. Very simple. No frills. Probably get a root beer as your drink. Go home, drink about a quarter of it, and then fill it up with whiskey. That's a first class meal right there.
I think honestly, since this podcast has been pretty short, maybe we should do a Mount Rushmore of fast food items or something.
That would take 2 hours.
I think we could take a Mount Rushmore of fast food items, and I think it could last 4 hours. Between us three, I think we could. You might as well throw Interstellar on, and we could finish the entire movie and do it. Sorry, back on the rails. Alex, MVP. Or before I cut you off, sorry, finish what you had. My bad.
I was gonna say when they got to the daily challenge and TJ says this is the Burger King challenge, I think in her head, Anissa's thought process instantly flips from don't try to win, just don't get injured so that I can make it to the feast. Don't get myself sent home because of some sort of injury. I need to make it to the Burger King feast.
Could not agree more. She definitely went from 6 o'clock to 12 o'clock. Like, could not agree more.
All right, so I'm up for MVP. is what Alex said. So I was gonna take Burger King too. I'll go with a lot of LVP options, not a lot of MVP. I'm gonna go with Laurel for my MVP because I think she just did badass things tonight. She won an elimination. She, stared this girl who had all the power in the eye and just didn't say anything. And it was hilarious. And the fact that they were the ones shaking in their boots, it's just like that shows you the true intimidation factor of Laurel. I think it's unmatched, definitely from the girl side. I think from the guy side, you would say the intimidation master is always CT. But on the girl side, it's always Laurel. She's a beast. She really won the MVP by not even doing a whole lot because she got voted in for no reason, and then she wins. So I'm going MVP Laurel.
You gonna respond to the chat first, Andy?
No. You interpret that however you want to interpret that. Whether that's answering you or answering the chat.
God, watch it.
All right, I'll round us out for MVP. I'm in a shitty situation because you two took the only 2 ones that I think could actually be MVPs. So I'm going to have to go with the person I had as my third option. I still don't mind this pick. I'm going Jordan. I think in any given episode, Jordan as your MVP is probably good. But the main reason I'm voting Jordan is I think they finished second in their heat. And if you had to actually watch the daily like I did, Anissa was floating like a buoy. She wasn't moving when she was swimming. And then she finally gets in, and Jordan has to make up time for them rowing, and he has one hand. So, I think people are underestimating how big of a feat it was for him to finish second in that heat. But he was dealing with Anissa swimming, and he had to row a boat. So I got to give him the MVP for that.
Wow. Good pick.
I'll round us back out with LVP. I'm glad I get first with this. It has to be Jay and Michelle. I know this was one of those episodes that you're pulling teeth to try to pick either MVP or LVP. But in my mind, Burger King was the no doubt 1-1 MVP. And I think Jay and Michelle are the clear actual LVPs too. I mean, they had an ounce of power, and the first thing they did was they got terrified. I've never seen a quote unquote power couple more terrified in my life. I mean, it was not only I don't want to say is this your first time, because I feel like for both of them it might have been, but holy shit, they didn't know who they wanted to pick. They had no strategy going at all. So they were terrified, and even what's her face, Michelle, on the tail end of the episode said if I were to give our performance as power couple a rating 1 to 10, I'd give it a 2. No, that's too many. It's an absolute 0. You didn't get any sort of numbers on your side. You sent home a couple who could have been on your side. You pissed off the closest couple that you had on your side. They did nothing but set themselves up to get sent home next week.
Yeah, I cannot believe she said 2 out of 10. First thing I thought, that's too damn high, as I always say. It's just my thought process. Alex, thoughts on tonight?
I'm done.
LVP tonight.
My LVP, I'm gonna go with Challenge House Toilets.
Oh my god!
Challenge House Toilets.
That's a good pick.
After that Burger King feast, I mean, you saw that whole table just filled with, Whoppers, fries, the chicken fries, maybe if they got lucky. They eat all of that.
I didn't see any chicken fries.
They eat all of that, and they're just
also a slept on fast food item.
They're destroying the whole plumbing system for the whole house. You know, it's one of those things where they're getting, production crew. They're getting called there, and they're pointing them specifically to like Veronica's bedroom, Anissa's bedroom, all of that. Like, we all know what's going down. So I'm just going my LVP as the Challenge House toilets.
That's a good pick. My LVP tonight is 90-minute episodes. Cut them now, please. That is by far the worst thing to happen to the challenge. Bring back 60. Bring back 30-minute episodes. All right, I'm done. I'll cut it right here. That's it.
LVP. Wait, what was your pick?
90-minute episodes. All right, are we done? I can't even look at this chat right now. I'm literally blocking it with my hand. I can't look at the chats. All right, are we done? Can we wrap this up?
I think we're good.
All right, thank you guys for listening to a brand new Stir the Pod podcast. So you can follow us on Twitter at Stir the Pod. Follow us on Instagram at Stir_the_pod. Thank you guys.